Evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Markup Monday. Hope everybody is doing well, that you had a great Monday. I feel like my week last week was so busy, and today I just really felt like I've been chasing myself just to get caught up, but it was a great day, that's for sure. It was a great day for sure. I see so many of you are already on. So good evening to you. Good evening to you. Let me go to my comments here. I know I saw Reverend Nelson on like super early. So hey, Reverend Nelson, glad you're here. Mom Harris, hey, Topeka, Kansas. Hello, Sister Janice Jones. Hey, absolutely. Oh, thank you for already the alternate title. Let me write that down. That's a good one. They couldn't keep him. That's good. Thank you for that. All right. Who else do I see? Hi, Sister Angela, Sister Linda, Sister Lillian, and Sister Yolanda. So glad to have everyone on. Again, I welcome you to Markup Monday. This is week number 2 of us being back in this space. And last week was great. And I got really nice notes all throughout the week that people seemed really happy that we were back on Markup Monday. So I know we'll continue to pick up momentum. Oh, you're in Gainesville, Florida. Awesome. We'll continue to pick up momentum and all the things. So as you're coming in, please absolutely say hello. This is kind of a space where I take a little more time and I can read more comments. But also let folks know where you're from. You may make a friend here on Markup Monday, not just friends with me, because I look for people when I go to these cities, like I'm going back and out. If I go to Gainesville, Florida, I'm going to look up Sister Lily, and I'm just telling you. So it's always nice to know where everyone is located. If this is your first time on Markup Monday, I would love for you to let me know that in the chat box. So let me know, first timer. And there were lots of first timers last week. That was incredible. But this is a different kind of space. So I want to let you know if this is your first time or you're not familiar with this format, this is not the teaching of the Sunday school lesson. I will be going through our passage tonight. I've actually already done my markup document. So I print the lesson out, literally go through, and we're going to look at the verses by groups, and we're going to look at what do we see? What do you think about? What does it make you feel? What do you want to know more about? And what the goal of this is really to help you think about how you approach your personal study of the word. I continue to share with you that when I study the lesson, I do not read the commentary first. I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be making a post for my Team Kojic friends, and I want to know how badly they're going to judge me. I just purchased the commentary last week when I was in Memphis. Yep. I know that the year started in September, but I just purchased the commentary last week in Memphis. Wait, now, what have you been doing? Sometimes I'll have my mother send me a picture of the lesson for the next couple of weeks. When I go home, I may take a picture of the front page for the next 6 or 7 weeks, because I am very interested in digging into the word for myself. And the last thing that I do is read the commentary. If I get to that point, it kind of makes me feel like, yes, you saw that, or, you found something that was in there. So it's always, I love the study of the word, but I also love the hunt of the word. So this method is part of my soda pop method. If you've never seen that video before, I should link that. I'll try to remember to do that going forward. But the soda pop method is, first of all, you read the scripture and you read it in a translation that makes sense for you, 2 or 3 translations, whatever works for you. I do the King James, I read the NLT, and I also look at the Christian Standard Version in my She Reads Truth Bible. And then after that, O is for observation. The O is for observation, and that's what we're doing tonight. We are just making an observation of the text. So I am looking forward to y'all jumping into the chat and, yes, participating. Get your fingers ready, because I am not here giving you the answers tonight. I'll definitely share with you what I see in this lesson text for what I've marked up. Okay, so let's prepare. Oh, you're a first timer. Is that Racine in Macon, Georgia? I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much, Sister Lily. And that means you enjoyed us last week, so you came back. So thank you for being a second timer. I love it. Sister Veronica, y'all know Sister Veronica. She brought us lessons for a year from Okinawa, Japan. So glad to see you on. And thank you so much for your commitment, even when you were in such a different time zone. Hi, Sister Melanie. And that's Deacon Michael or Anderson from Cincinnati. Glad to have you all on. Let's pray, and then we're going to get into our text. We have a little bit of reading to do tonight. So I want to keep us on task because I do 2 of these. So if you're one of my Team Kojic friends, I'll see you at 8 p.m. Central. All right, Father, I thank you for this day, and thank you for this opportunity that you give me with people that share space for the love of your word. And God, I pray that tonight, as we sit ourselves in a place to absorb your word, that you will make us curious people who engage with your word, never taking the word for granted, never treating it as something that we just check off of our list, but literally being so open to what you want to share with us, what you will help us to understand. Thank you that your word is timeless and that your word continues to speak to us and help us to be the better versions of ourselves that you ordained and purpose for us to be. I pray that you'll bless us in our time together. Bless those who are present and even those who will catch the replay. We love you. We give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. My lesson title in David C. Cook is Christ Dies and Rises to New Life. Thank you again, Sister Janice Jones, who gave us the alternate title, They Couldn't Keep Him Down. They couldn't keep him down. We're going to read Matthew chapter 27, verses 39 and 40. And then we'll jump down to verses 45 through 54, and then chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. I think that for tonight, just because there is such lengthy reading, I think I want to handle this in a little bit different way, and that is just to go through the sections together. Is that what I want to do? Just be a creature of habit right now. Do what you do. Be a creature of habit. 27, verse 39. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, that thou destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Verse 45. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, This man calleth for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. And the rest said, Let be, let us see whether Elias will come to save him. Then we go to verse 50 to 54. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus saw the earthquake and all those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, Truly, this was the Son of God. And we go to Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of them, the keepers did shake and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear ye not, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen. And he said, Come, see the place where the Lord lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you into Galilee, and there shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre with great fear and joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell the disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, All hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. And then Jesus said unto them, Be not afraid. Go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there they see me. This is our reading for this week. Again, a lot for us to take in. I'm going to just go through and we'll break up into sort of short bullets of the reading. And I need for you to jump in here with me. Let's take a look at verses 39 and 40. 39 and 40. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads. No, before I jump into that, that was wrong. That's not what we do in a Bible study. I'm sorry. It was so much reading. Let's look at our background. Let's look at our background. What do you want out of this background study? What do you want as you look at the background? Whenever you approach any lesson in scripture, what do you want as a background? What do you want as a background? Last week, when we looked at Christ as the atoning sacrifice, we were in 1 John. This week, we are moving to the book of Matthew. So yes, thank you, Reverend Nelson. We want to get background. Who wrote the book? Who is speaking? Who is the audience that this person is talking to? It's going to tell you a lot about why they write the way they write, especially when you are in the Gospels. Who is present? Yeah, my cast of characters. Who is going to be present when you see all of this? And does any of this change during the shifts? And we're going to see certain shifts that are present most definitely in this particular passage. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. All right. So that gave some of you time to look at the verses 39 and 40. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you think about? What does it remind you of? What do you want to know more about? And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads and saying that thou destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days. Save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. All right, what do you see? The first thing I see is that we're starting at verse 39. And the first words actually in verse 39 and verse 40 is the word and. So I've circled the word and, which tells me that this is the continuation of a story. So if I were you, absolutely, thank you. Both begin with and. You know what? Now next week, I'm going to be honest with you. Last week, I kind of messed up with Markup Monday. I had it all set in YouTube, and it's been a while since I did that. And when I was on talking to myself for 17 minutes, I chickened out and came over here to StreamYard. But I have to realize that StreamYard is about 20 seconds behind the regular YouTube time. And so next week, I may try to practice a little bit because I like YouTube speed a little bit more for Markup Monday. All right. So Sister Maddie says they are mocking him in verse 40. They are mocking him. Now, Sister Maddie, you are absolutely, I believe that you are right. Now, here's the thing. When I saw the word they in verse 39, I wanted to know, who are they? Who? Because yes, you're right. They're doing something to him, but who are they? I noticed that they don't have a name or they don't have an identity. So I don't know what group or whatever they're being identified with at this point. So that was one of my questions. Who are they? They that pass by. So they seem to be in some sort of motion, but even inside of their movement, they seem to take time to address what's going on with Jesus. So I see two things. One was the word reviled, and I just made a note. What does reviled mean? Because I haven't used the word reviled this calendar year. So that's not a word that we use often. They reviled him. They also wagged their head. That was a very interesting term, that they wag their heads. I don't take any of these. First of all, I noticed that in verse 39, these are just physical actions. Nobody is saying anything, but it does feel like disdain is a word that I kind of put in, or even like disrespect. That's kind of how that made me feel. Words like reviled and wagging their head, like even shaking your head, walking by like, that just felt disrespectful to me. Sister Lillian says Christians are to follow the examples of Jesus and live their lives to glorify God, serve others instead of living for ourselves. I do agree with you on that. That is true. That is true. Let's keep going here into verse 40. I'll pick up where Sister Maddie said that, yes, there is now they're speaking. Verse 39 was just action, two different actions, reviling him, wagging their heads. But now their actions involve their words. their actions involve their words. This already has made me kind of identify that there are multiple ways to show disrespect to people, right? And I'm not teaching, but that's just what I see. There's action without words. Now we have the words, and their words seem, Sister Maddie says, like they are mocking in nature. I also wrote down the word like accusatory. Thank you, Reverend Nelson. What is going on with Jesus that they are even reviling him, that they're even mocking him? What's going on that they're wagging their heads? What is going on that they open their mouths to even say anything? Yeah, Sister Veronica, those two things are like saying, what a shame, with their body language. That's really too bad right there. All right, so they're shaking their heads. But now their words are in play. And it seems like, Sister Maddie, their mockery and their almost accusatory words. I wrote down accusation. They're referencing something that he said earlier. Reverend Nelson says, what are their attitudes and how is it demonstrated in their actions? That's a great question. What is the attitude of the people? How is it demonstrated in their actions? And they reference something that he has said earlier: destroy the temple, and in 3 days it will be built again. So, Sister Maddie, not only do their words seem like they are mocking in that they're using his own words, like, how's that working out for you right now? That's kind of how that made me feel. They sort of seem to be using his words as well. Yeah, destroy what temple, Reverend Nelson? What temple? Was this the physical temple? What was he even talking about when he said destroy this temple? All right. And they seem to be twisting his words. I also felt like that this is a little arrogant of people to use whatever they believe his own words against him in this moment. All right. I also wrote down the word, Sister Maddie, sarcastic, in addition to mockery, because they're sort of like, it also made me feel like, remember when Jesus was in the wilderness and the enemy came to him, the devil came to him, tempting him, like, if you be the Son of God, then do this. Like, the tone of the words feels the same way to me. You know, destroy this temple in 3 days and you're going to rebuild it. In 3 days, you'll rebuild it. If you be the Son of God. We've heard that phrase before. So if you be the Son of God, come down from the cross, which is very similar to if you be the Son of God, you know, throw yourself off this mountain. He's going to give his angels charge over you. So it just it reminded me of that. And it also just sort of made me think about how the devil uses conditional logic to try to get not just Jesus, but even to get us off of our square. Because for me, that's what that is. All right. The word if, yeah, Sister Melanie, the word if is important. That is that conditional language that we're talking about for sure. Sister Janice Jones says their words seem like a what now moment. You did the big talk. Now, what are you going to do? Absolutely. So all of this, we're saying the same thing. It's kind of taunting. It's sarcastic. It is mocking in nature, right? And anytime we see an if, Reverend Nelson says there is an if. Y'all know I always go back to the color purple. Could be not. Who's to say, right? But that is taunting language. Let's keep going here. No, I don't want to keep going. I want to talk about what they challenge him to do. Come down from the cross. Come down from the cross. I'm going to tell you what that reminds me of. They're not related stories at all. But remember in Nehemiah when he was working on the rebuilding of the temple, when Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem come and they send word for him to come meet them in the valley of Ono. And what Nehemiah sends word and says, I'm doing a good work. I cannot come down. Like, it just reminded me like of that distraction right now in the life of Jesus that is attempting to essentially reduce him from a moment that is ordained, a moment that is divine, to what I consider like performance criteria. Because if you're the Son of God, you're going to show me that by how you perform. So it was like a challenge to performance versus like just like settling in, and I am the son of God. I don't have, whether I get off this cross or not, I am who I am. So I don't know if I explained that well, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. What it reminded me of. What are your curious questions? What other curious questions do you have? I already asked, where did the passersby hear the 3-day claim? What's the deal behind their mockery was one of my questions. And why now? Like, why are they so bold in this moment with their public mockery? And what are they trying to prove by getting Jesus to prove himself? I also kind of wanted to know, like, what kind of people are you that you enjoy watching someone else's pain to this level, right? Hey, it's missionary Tammy son. Absolutely, it is a distraction from your assignment. Absolutely. Let's read verse 45. We'll read 45 through 49, and you can start to tell me what you see while I'm reading. That'll buy us some time here. Now, from the 6th hour, there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that he had heard that, said, this man calleth for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. The rest said, let be, and let us see whether Elias will come to save him. All right. Now, Reverend Nelson says it's time sensitive. Reverend, I also said that this is a shift in the story. And you kind of mentioned that earlier, like different cast of characters that we may see as the story shifts. This I boxed as a shift. And I too noted that there is a timestamp. When you see timestamps in scripture, you should pay attention to those. It is no random fact that we are given the timestamp. So we need to kind of figure out, we won't know it tonight, but that's a question that I would have in my study. Why do I need that particular timestamp? What does that mean? I also noticed that just in verse 45, there are actually 2 timestamps. I have the timestamp of the 6th hour, and I have the timestamp of the 9th hour. So in verse 45 alone, I see a period of 3 hours. There is a period of 3 hours that have happened here. And in this period of 3 hours, there is something that happens. There is something that happens. I hope that you circle or you underline or you paid attention to the condition of things. Darkness, not a little bit of darkness, all over the land. I want to challenge you, even as you read scripture, to pay attention to the sensory things, sights, sounds, that kind of thing. So now we have a time period where the visual that we have is darkness. It is darkness. But I also paid attention in verse 45 that that's all I see in verse 45 is darkness. There is no other motion that's given to me in those 3. There is no other sound that is given to me in verse 45. I just thought that was interesting. So for me, I observed silence for 3 hours. I think just because I'm thinking about the cast of characters, I know that so far I've got Jesus in my cast of characters. I know I've got they in my cast of characters, this unnamed group of people. And even if I just went with those 2 right there, nobody, Jesus is not making a sound in 3 hours. They are not making a sound in this 3 hours. All right. What else do you see? What else do you all see? I'm watching for any other comments coming through here. What else do you see? Think about, remind you of, what do you want to know more about? I just think it's interesting in verse 45, like this darkness, it just happens. There is nothing that gives a cause for the darkness happening. It doesn't tell me that, clouds rolled in. Was it a year ago or so? Maybe or was it a year and a half ago when we had an eclipse, total eclipse, solar eclipse, and we were out watching with our glasses. So we knew why it got dark in the middle of the day, but I don't see anything like that. It is just darkness. And then in verse 46, after this period of silence, after this darkness, the next thing I observe is the language he used. Sister Janice says the language he used, and they misunderstood. That must be the in 3 days. That was the language he used. Sister Teresa, hey, you said when it is dark, something is about to happen. That's a powerful thought. When it is dark, something is about to happen. And I will tell you, Sister Teresa, thank you for that. I shared a message once entitled God in the Darkness. And I used the passage that was from Exodus when God visited his people, but there was darkness. So it does make me think about other points in scripture where there have been moments of darkness, very different from like the people living in darkness, but to have moments where the work of God was very present in the dark. So yes, thank you for that. Verse 46. Yes, Sister Maddie, we see the humanity of Jesus. And yes, Sister Melanie, that is the next thing I have. It's not quiet anymore. In verse 46, it is not quiet anymore. In the 9th hour, Jesus cries out, and it is unmistakable. It is a loud voice. He cries out in a loud voice. Reverend Nelson says, the darkness reminds me of the between the scene moments in stage plays. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, his voice was loud. Melanie Davis, it's a loud voice. Sister Maddie, we see his humanity. Oh, Sister Lillian, God is about to show up. God is about to show up. Let's see here. I love what you all are sharing. So this cry is loud after a long period of silence, and it's sudden, like out of nowhere there's this cry, and again it is loud and not quiet. The words that he speaks are going to be important. My God is actually a quote, if you will, so I don't want to give it away, but that is a quote. It should remind you of something else. In the darkness, God was displeased. Wow, Sister Phyllis, God was displeased. Yeah, Dr. Treyvig, hello. Amazingly, the people are quiet, waiting on something for an entire 3 hours. The same people who had so much to say and so much taunting and carrying on, now they're quiet. And she still calls him Father. He calls him Father. He calls him Father. He calls him Father. Why hast thou forsaken me? Why hast thou forsaken me? Wait a minute, Reverend Nelson. So the reason I paused is that you wrote down that he still calls him Father. I thought it was interesting because when he prayed in the garden, he said, Father, if it be possible to let this cup pass from me. And in this particular moment, he does not refer to him as his father. He says, my God. So that for me hit a little differently than some of his earlier prayers. I haven't had time to look at that, and I want to take your note. But yeah, that was kind of what I thought about that. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that was what I thought about it. That's just how my brain is wired. What else? Yes, I think Sister Janice, I'm repeating something you said earlier, that they misunderstood his words when they were like, this man is calling for Elias. So when they hear Eli, they misunderstand his words. They look at his language and they think that they know what he's crying out for, but they totally wrong again. Or as my young people love to say, loud and wrong. All right. Yes, he's questioning. He's questioning his father. Why? And the word, like Sister Yolanda, is like, you forsook me. Like that's deep language to me. Like, you left me out here real bad. You have forsaken me. What else here? There is a person who acts in verse 48, I noticed that it is one particular person. I don't know what the provocation is for that person to run, and to run means that they were in a hurry. And so I don't know if it was him crying aloud that became the catalyst for them running, but this person runs to get a sponge filled with vinegar. The NIV uses the word forsaken, and sometimes it hits a little different when the Message Bible, uses the word abandons. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Dr. Travick. So yeah, God, why'd you leave me out here? You left me, you abandoned me. You left me out here real bad, real bad. For my Father to my God. My is a personal thought, not your God, but the God, or not the God, but my God. That is very interesting too, as well. Like, yeah, he switches up from Father to God, but it's still very personal. You're right. It's my God, which is kind of interesting. Like if it's a personal moment, he's still my God, but then to accuse him of abandoning you. Let me kind of sit with that. I don't know where I want to think about that a little bit more. Listen, this is why I tell y'all that these stories of like Christmas and Easter time, it does not get boring for me with the word, because I promise you, I don't know that I've peeled the layers back like this before, even in this. All right. I wasn't prepared for this, God. It's a whole lot, Austin Marshall says, for sure. Was it a common thing to give those who were being crucified vinegar? Absolutely. The good question there. So why vinegar? Was it common? The people were still in the dark after Jesus cried out. Thank you, Sister Yolanda. They're in the dark, and his crying out becomes, I guess, this catalyst for, Sister Karen, we're back. Hello. All right, they gave him wine vinegar. Was it for care or was it for punishment? Thank you, Sister Maddie. Why was he given vinegar? Why on a sponge? Why use that kind of a put it on a reed? Why a reed? And to give it to him to drink. The text says, and gave him to drink. Now, I have a family and friends who are strong believers of the, what kind of vinegar is that? Bragg's vinegar. What, apple cider vinegar? The apple cider vinegar shot in the morning. They just take a little quick shot of it and chase it with some water. Funny story in our family. My mother decided last week she was going to try it. And let me just tell you, she wasn't ready. So yeah, when I think about giving it to him to drink, vinegar is not typically something that we choose to drink. So I think that was interesting. I'm with Sister Maddie. Was that for care or was it for punishment? The rest of the crowd. Yeah, was it for care or for punishment? I was wondering the same thing. Is wine vinegar supposed to be for medicinal purposes or other taunting? And that's what I've been wondering the whole time, Dr. Travick. All of this feels like it's taunting. Every last bit of it feels that way. But we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Even feeling abandoned, Jesus acknowledged God's presence. Oh, wow. Reverend Nelson, you always make us think. Can we still acknowledge God's presence in our most difficult moments? Can we do that? That is a very powerful thought out of this. I'm going to end up having to go back there and look at the comments as I'm putting together my thoughts. The rest of the crowd, the rest in verse 49. So we have one individual who goes and brings wine vinegar for Jesus to drink. The rest said, now they have something to say. Now there's more talking in the text. It's like they want to see what happens next. They said, in fact, just let him be and let's just see. Let's see. He been up here calling for Elias. Let's see if the prophet gonna come down and save him. They are all out here still taunting him. Melanie Davis says vinegar will dull the pain, but to drink though, oh, that's horrible. That is horrible. People in the dark, possibly after the healing and miracles, his work was and had been possible about his servanthood. And Jesus is Jesus speaking from feelings, or from facts? Okay. Reverend Nelson, we're going to have you start writing the 20 questions, or at least 5 of them every week, because you're making us think out here. The rest of the crowd wants to see what's going to happen next. And so I never really thought about it this way. You got one man who runs to go bring him the wine vinegar to drink. We haven't decided whether it's punishment, medicinal, whatever. But the other folks are saying, no, leave him alone and let's just see what happens next. So I wondered at this point, is this just for their entertainment? Has this become entertainment to them? All right. Here are my other curious questions. Why did the darkness last 3 hours? Sister Janice, why do they misinterpret what Jesus says? Was it his language? We've already asked about the vinegar. And I guess in the end, I said that they seemed more curious than concerned. So why in the end are they more curious? Let's just see what's going to happen. They are not concerned about him at this point. Let's just see. So why are they more curious than they are concerned? What I mean by that, did Jesus feel abandoned or was he abandoned? I got you, Reverend Nelson. I got you. And Sister Maddie says they were waiting on something great, but failing to this for the true greatness that was taking place. Yeah, they didn't understand at all what this moment was truly about. Who do they think called, and who do they think he called, and who is that person? So yeah, this Elias that they mentioned, they say that they think he's called for Elias. Who is Elias? Why would he be calling on Elias? Why would they have an identification or a connection with Elias? Why would Elias mean anything to them? Austin Marshall says, after all he had done for the people were in a dark place because of lack of understanding. Now they hear him calling out on his Lord. Let's keep moving. Thank you for that. Verse 50, Jesus, when he cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus saw the earthquake and the things that were done, feared greatly, saying, truly this was the Son of God. All right, let's see where you're going with verses 50 through 54. If we had a camera going at this point, Reverend Nelson, because we were doing a TV production or a movie right now, the camera and all eyes are on Jesus. The shot is on Jesus at this point in verse 50. He is the subject of verse 50. And I noticed that there's another audible moment here. He cries again. 50 was just powerful. Sister Maddie, I agree with you. There is something in 50 I have never paid attention to before. And I want to see what you all say about it. He cries again. He cries again. So yeah, Sister Janice Jones, what did he cry out the second time? Because the first time we are given words. I've never looked at it like this before, but the first time we are given words that he cried out. The second time, we don't know what he cried out at all. We do not know at all. And yes, Sister Angela, there's going to be a centurion in just a second who gets this aha moment for sure. For sure. And I got you, Sister Janice, with that second time when he cries out. The words are not specific, but I also noted that, again, it is with a loud voice. And I just made a note that cry could not be ignored. Like in whatever is going on in this darkness, still this cry could not be ignored. I also made brackets around yielded up the ghost. He cried again. And had to go back to, your English classes for this. He does a couple things. He cries again. He yielded up the ghost. He cried again. He yielded up the ghost. I paid attention to the fact that, this is the end. So it seems. But he yielded up the ghost. Everything that he has been doing at this point, it's been his mission. His assignment. But this is the first time that I'm like, he did that. It was when he decided he was going to give up the ghost. His choice, his moment, he did that. That's why I said it seems to be his choice. The language doesn't say, and they killed him, or he died. The language says that he yielded, or one translation says he gave up the ghost. So that just made me kind of think about, I did this when I got ready. It was on my time. All right. Anything else? Your text says he gave up the spirit. Yes, Sister Maddie. Your text says spirit. Some says, what does mine say? I have a couple of, this one says the ghost. What does this one say? Verse 50. Yeah, King James says ghost. I think NLT may say spirit too. The pain and anguish he felt was unbearable, and he cried louder and gave up the ghost. The NIV version. Okay, thank you, Sister Maddie. Luke's version says he entrusted his spirit. Yeah, and notice though, he did it. Even as Luke records it, he did that. All right. Let's see, what else do I have here? Verse 51. I just said like immediate things happen. Like he gives up the ghost, he gives up the spirit, he entrusts his spirit, whichever translation, and then like immediately things start happening. Yes, Melanie Davis, it was all choice. Remember, he says in 3 days I will rebuild it. It is all his choice. And yes, not only his choice, but even his initiation. I will build. I'm gonna start the building. I'm gonna take care of the building. I don't need your permission, none of the things. He will do it. So all his choice for sure. So immediate things happen in verse 51. And I just kind of started making a list of the things that happen. The veil of the temple. Why the veil of the temple? What is the veil of the temple? What does the veil of the temple signify? Why is that important? But the veil of the temple is torn. I noticed that it is torn in two. So why is it torn in two? Why is it not torn in 6? Why is it not torn in 4? It's torn in 2. And Sister Maddie says the earth shook, reminded you of what happened at Mount Sinai. Absolutely. I agree with that. So we've got this veil in the temple being torn in 2. And not only that, but it is torn from the top to the bottom. Why not the bottom to the top? Why not diagonally? So those details are not given to us for no reason. And then Sister Maddie tells us that we do have an earthquake that happens next. So the earth shakes. I always say everything was shook when Jesus gave up the ghost. The earth was shook. The people were shook. Everybody was shook. All right. Yes, the way it was torn, Reverend Nelson. Absolutely. I wrote this down that I think it's interesting that things happen in the temple and in the earth. Probably won't spend a whole lot of time with it. I just thought it was an interesting observation. Sister Maddie said, it spoke to me because God's presence was coming now that Jesus was leaving. God's presence came as Jesus departed. Thank you for that. Sister Marcia. Oh, we've missed you too. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. I love it, love it, love it. Sister Angela says that the veil being torn means that man now has access to God. Yes, Sister Angela, one of the things that I wrote down was like the veil is always, for me, this representation of that separator between God and man. So that was the only note I made. But we were kind of saying the same thing, that thing that gives man access to God. Even in his death, there was power, the power of tearing, shaking, and resurrecting. Ooh, power, I'm writing this down. The power of tearing, shaking, resurrecting. When I preach it, Reverend Nelson, I give you credit the first time, my friend. Remembering the significance of the veil being the separation, of the Holy of Holies. Absolutely, absolutely. So we've got the veil torn. We've got an earthquake. We've got rocks being broken. So this may not have anything to do with anything, but just because from our lesson yesterday, get rid of this pillow here. Our lesson yesterday. So after Jesus rides into Jerusalem on the colt, looks around the temple and he leaves. That one of the gospels tells us that that's when I think the leaders were telling, Jesus is, get your people under control, get your boys, Jesus, tell them to calm down. And Jesus says, can't really do that, because if I tell these to be quiet and if these don't talk, the very rocks would cry out for me. So the rocks have just been kind of playing in my head. So when I saw rocks here, they don't have anything to do with each other probably, but it just made me think about even the rocks reacted to what was going on. And I'm sure that has to do with the earthquake as well. So because of the earthquake, there are rocks that are shaken loose. Verse 52 is very provocative. Verse 52 is very provocative. Oh, thank you so much, Sister Maddie. Thank you so much. The veil in our lives keeps us separate from God, and that Jesus tore on the cross. Yes. And that was the whole purpose. I know we're not teaching tonight, but yes, that is the purpose of the veil being torn. For example, unforgiveness keeps a veil. Uncontested sin creates a veil. Reverend, we're going to have to give you offerings the way you're going at it tonight, friend. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we've got rocks that have broken as a result of the earthquake. There are graves that are open. And I was like, what is going on here? Graves are opening and bodies of saints have risen, not spirits, literally actual bodies have risen. And again, it's not my job to teach it tonight. I'm just making an observation of the text. This is a lot. And that is why this time of year, I will pause and really think about what happened. We're not going to act like this was a normal day. We're not going to do that. From the 6th hour of the day till 9th hour, you figure out what time is it. It's not supposed to be pitch black dark outside. Earthquakes. I've had the feeling of an earthquake two times before, once here in Texas and one in Kansas. I didn't like it. So no, we're not going to act like this is normal and rocks moving all over the place and graves opening up and bodies getting up. No, this is a lot. This is a lot. All right. And let's see here. They came out of the grave after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. Nope. Yeah, rock's been around a long time, Sister Marcia, for sure. Yep. Things are happening. They are walking in the city and appearing before many. There you are, Dr. Travick. We're not going to act like this is normal. Nope, not going to do it. People from the grave are not supposed to be walking. They're not supposed to be out of the grave. Let's just start there. Tomorrow, tax day. Tomorrow makes 14 years since my father passed away. Let me tell you, I miss that man more than I can even tell you. But what I do not want is for him to come out of the grave and start showing himself in Kansas City or in that. We good. I'll see you again in the hereafter, Daddy. No. So this is not. We're not gonna act like this is normal. No, not gonna do that. All right. They're not supposed to be walking around in the city being seen or people or looking at people. Yep. It's a lot. Not just anybody. It was the saints, Reverend Nelson, for sure. Yeah. So did the non-saints, the unsaints, they stayed in the grave? Why is it the saints that are out of the grave? What does that mean? Oh, Sister Janice. Yeah, I see dead people. Yes, indeed. So no, this is not a normal day. Not gonna do that. It's not a normal day. Nope. Did they come right out of the grave after Jesus? Did they come out of the grave after Jesus was risen? Put that in your question, Sister Phyllis. So the whole point of this activity this evening is that we will create our own study plans. All right. You'll answer the questions. You'll dig into the things that you're most curious about. Let me keep us moving. Someone already mentioned the centurion in verse 54. The centurion, and there are they that are with him. So there's another group that goes in our cast of characters. This is interesting. They saw the earthquake. Interesting language. I didn't see the earthquake when it happened here in Texas, but I sure felt it. All right. So I didn't know that you could see. I guess if the rocks are falling, you see an earthquake, right? All right. So they see an earthquake. When they saw the earthquake and those things that were done, all this stuff that we just talked about that we said was not a normal day, their response is appropriate. Their response was fear. And it wasn't just a little bit of fear. It was a whole lot of fear. And now all of a sudden, somebody already said it. that they seem to have had a change of heart. I don't know who said it earlier, but the centurions now have a change of heart. I'm trying to see who said it. I don't remember who said it. But yeah, they've had a change of heart now. It might have been, I don't know, was it Sister Angela? Yeah, it was. Yeah, this aha moment. Now all of a sudden, maybe we were doing too much. This man really was the Son of God. Oh, look at you over here in your aha moment. How about that? All right. It says the saints which slept arose, since they were asleep as saints. They were asleep as saints. Do then the non-saints they're probably still in their graves for sure. That's hilarious, Reverend Nelson. We went to movie things. All right, now do you believe? Right, Sister Maddie, do you believe now? We have a tremble of the earth. Absolutely. So there was fear. I noticed this. I see fear and a confession. Fear and a confession. They are afraid, and now they confess this was the Son of God. Let's see here. I have some curious questions, but I'm going to keep us moving because we still have a lot to cover in 10 verses. One of the things that I asked was, could the second cry have been, we don't know what it is. It could have been a cry of pain. It could have been a cry of release. It could have been a cry of triumph. And so I left my mind to kind of wrestle with what kind of cry I think it is that Jesus gave that had no words at all. I was kind of thinking about this, like when we look at, and this is Matthew, when we look at who records the story and the details that they include, I got to be honest with you. And there's a lot of detail in here for us, but I also said, well, maybe it's just possible. It was just so much going on. Darkness, screaming, earthquakes, dead bodies. I just don't exactly remember what Jesus hollered when he hollered the second time, but I know it was loud, right? So I just kind of sat with that. And that's not in the text. Again, that's what Markup Monday is. My mind is allowed to kind of float a little bit, right? Death is typically a person's weakest moment, but his death was absolutely marked by power, for sure. Absolutely. Let's keep going here. All right. Oh, the loud sound. Let's go to chapter 28. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the gatekeepers did shake and became as dead men. We got 7 minutes to get through 10 verses. So let's go. I have a timestamp at the very beginning. Of verse 1. It is the end of the Sabbath. What is the Sabbath? What was its purpose? How long did it last? I know that it is the end of the Sabbath. Why do I need to know that it is the end of the Sabbath? So it's not just early in a particular day. It is after something officially ends. The second part of that tells me that it is the start of a new day. It is the start of the first day of the week. I have another timestamp here. And thank you, Sister Maddie. Now we've got people in our cast of characters here. We've got 2 women named Mary. There is Mary Magdalene and the other Mary. So I'll let you wrestle on which other Mary you think this is. But I always love this account, because it was the women who were at the tomb. And we can talk all of you in this lesson. You won't necessarily be able to find out all the reasons and talk about all the stuff. You'll headline it. But what were these women going to do? Why were they going to see the sepulcher? What did you expect to see? Why were you going to see the sepulcher? this is interesting, right? So I know that when you read other gospels, it talks about, that's how we kind of put this whole story together. But when you look at Matthew's version, he doesn't say that they're going to anoint the body or do burial spices. His words were, they went to see the sepulcher. So I don't want to add anything to it because this is an observation. They went to see the tomb, according to his version. All right. When they go, verse 2, there is another earthquake. We just had an earthquake. Now we got another earthquake. And when this earthquake happens, we can compare it to the one that we saw back in chapter 27, verse 51. But in this particular case, after this earthquake, it's not a rocks falling, dead bodies getting up, veils being rent into top to. It's not that this time. This time, there is an angel that descends. An angel that descends. Reverend Nelson says, this early gives us shouting moments, but early there was time for it and as soon as possible. I love that. I love that. So an angel descends, and he is described as having a lightning-like appearance. The clothes are white like snow. So I have the appearance of the angel. I have the actions of the angel. The actions of the angel are that he rolls the stone away, or rolls the stone back. It doesn't say away. I'm sorry. He rolls the stone back and sits on it. Those are the two actions. The angel appears, rolls the stone away, and rolls the stone back, and sits on it. Y'all see, we say things so many times and we sing songs, but I'm reading the text. This text says that he rolled the stone back from the door and sat on it. I'm going to say that this, like the way the writer writes it, like it's written in a way that is casual for something that is really incredible. Like this is a powerful moment, and yet it reads like, oh, this angel just descended from heaven, rolled a stone back from the door, and took a seat. What? Yeah, this is big stuff. This is big stuff. All right. The guards, the angel's countenance, we already talked about that, like lightning, raiment white as snow. Now we have other people in our cast of characters, and these are these gatekeepers, the keepers of him. Why are there gatekeepers? What is their job? Why do they need to watch a sepulcher? What did they think was going to happen? These men, yeah, there is such a calmness about that, right? Did the angel anticipate the women coming? Sister Angela asked. And yeah, Reverend Nelson, there's no panic in this text at all from the angel's perspective. I don't even really see the women panicking or anything yet. The only panic I now see is these keepers. They over here shaking, verse 4, they shook and they became as dead men. Man, earlier we had the earth shaking. Well, now we got these keepers shaking. It's a whole lot of shaking going on. Why does Matthew, my curious questions, why does Matthew mention both Marys by name? Why does the angel sit on the stone instead of just leaving? The angel could have come and moved the stone from the door and left, but why does this angel sit on the stone? And what did the guards see that made them completely as dead men? They completely shut down. What made them completely shut down? Why did the angel roll the stone back? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, the Kojic people. The Kojic people are going to get me. Team Kojic, I'm a few minutes late. I got to get in a better rhythm, y'all. Okay, the angel answered and said unto the women, fear ye not, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here. He is risen, as he said. Come see the place where the Lord lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you unto Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you. So I said in verse 5, there is talking. The angel is talking to the women. The angel is... I didn't pay attention to this. This angel, the text says the angel answered the women, but I didn't see a question. The angel knows what's in their heads. There's no question. The women haven't asked anything yet. The angel answers the women and tells them, do not be afraid. Always reminds me of angels in scripture with this, do not be afraid. If you have hung out with me for any amount of time, you already know I don't rock with angels appearing out of nowhere. I would be the one that you have to say, be not afraid. All right. But this should hopefully put you in the mind of other instances, especially in the life of Jesus, where angels have appeared and where people were told not to be afraid. The angel says, I know what you're looking for, who you're looking for. I know who you're looking for. I also noticed that the angel answers the women. The angel's not telling, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to teach. I don't mean to teach, but the angel is not telling the keepers, don't be afraid. You need to be afraid. He says to the women, do not fear. Fear ye not. The angel knows why they've come. They're looking for Jesus who was crucified. And then he makes a very clear statement. He is not here, for he is risen as he said. When did he say he was going to rise? When did he say that? Yeah, there's a lot in this lesson. Yep, we've got to manage our teaching time on this one. I won't commit, but I might share my teaching plan on this one this week, Dr. Travick. I might share that with the download. All right. And I'm just sharing some of the comments on the screen as I hurry to a close here. So not only does he make a statement that he being Jesus, you should ask, who is he? Jesus is not here. He is risen. So where did he say that he would rise again? And then he extends an invitation to them. Verse 7, come. That's an invitation. Come and see the place where he was. So there are some imperatives here from the angel. The first one is come. The next one is go. The next one is tell. Come, go, tell. These are the commands that the angel gives to the women. And then he adds a detail to that Jesus is already on the move. You go tell them that he's risen from the dead, but he's already gone before you. He's already on the move into Galilee. You're going to see him there too. I've already told you. All right, it's confirmation. You heard it. You heard it here first. You're going to see him again. Why does the angel only speak to the women? Why does he say, why say as he said, meaning there was some expectation that y'all should have been paying attention to him and remembering the stuff that he said. All right. And that's a whole nother message right there. And you know, what did the empty tomb look like when they entered into it? Were you curious? I've had the chance to go into what they say was one of the most likely locations of the tomb of Jesus. It's a very interesting experience. Last thing, and I'm going to finish this one up. And as they departed quickly from the sepulchre with fear and joy, great joy, and did run to bring the disciples word. And as they went to tell the disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, all hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshiped him. Then Jesus said unto them, be not afraid. Go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there they shall see me. So in verse 8, the women obey. They go and they go quickly. I don't observe questions between verses 7 and 8. Well, what you mean? Well, how he get up? Well, how long he been gone? Nope. They go immediately from the tomb or the sepulcher. What does it mean to go with great fear and with joy? And you see the word run there. They go quickly and they run. That tells us about their sense of urgency. Fear and great joy. I see emotions in this passage. And I'm going to say this. I hope I can explain it well. I'm getting to the point where I understand that two things can be true at the same time, right? So there is fear, and at the same time, there is great joy. So it wasn't like, or I'm afraid, or I'm really excited. No, both were true at the same time. It was, whoa, what's going on? There's been a lot going on. And at the same time, both emotions are present. So they run to bring the word. These women are now messengers of the word. They're messengers of what they're to take from the angel. In verse 9, as they are on their way to do what they've been told to do, I did highlight the word behold. Stop. Look, something is happening whenever you see the word behold in scripture. It's like a surprise interruption in the story. And the first words he says, all hail, all hail. I think first words and last words can be very meaningful. So what does that greeting mean? Their response to him is in verse 9. Their response is they came Number one, they held him by the feet. Number two. Number three, they worshiped him. I'll let you wrestle with all that. They came, they held him by the feet, they worshiped him. The fact that they were able to grab his feet meant that they were not seeing a ghost. I know that felt like ice cream, and don't drop it on me. Y'all know I'm hurrying right now. I'm hurrying to a close. But it was a physical touch is what I noticed there. It was a tangible thing. And what does it mean to worship? Jesus, in verse 10, speaks. And the words that he uses are the words that they have just heard from the angel. They're told again, don't be afraid. And he too tells them to go and tell my brethren. I'm going to stop right there because I always reflect on this thing that Jesus, the first thing he wants to do is meet with his brethren, and he calls these men, and some of these men, they ran off. They left him in his darkest hour. They were hiding in places. Peter had denied him, and yet he didn't say, go get them boys. He said, my brother. Are they still your brothers and your sisters when they leave you hanging? I mean, he was like, my God, why have you abandoned me? Your boys abandoned you, but they still your brothers. I gotta stop. I love y'all. I love Markup Monday. I'm glad we're doing this. Listen, I'll be back in a day or so. Let me just be honest. Y'all know tomorrow's tax day, so it won't be tomorrow. It won't be tomorrow. But maybe on Wednesday, I'll be able to get at least one of the lessons up. The TSSG notes, though, will be up by tomorrow, as well as the 20 questions for this lesson. So that's it. I got to run. Team Kojic is waiting. Thank you so much, Sister Maddie. I had a great time with you all, too, and I love you. I will see you next week. Bye.